Welcome back, everyone, and welcome back to the Coach Approach. It's Coach Blake the Black Baker. Today, we're going to be looking at fastest way to improve in League of Legends, Challenger, Coaches, Low Elo. This is a pro guys video. If you guys would like to watch the video, original link in the description below. I've been coaching for 8 years, so I'm going to try to help you guys see if this is clickbait. You know, I'm going to give it a grade at the end. Is it clickbait or is it really good? Honestly, though, I will say pro guys doesn't usually get Fs, but hey, you never know. I think there's only one video that I made from Pro Guys that got an F. Like I said, this is not to BM the companies, other things behind making these videos. This is just to separate the facts from the things that just kind of might be a little BS. You know what I mean? But it's not to say that all the videos are bad or anything. We're just looking at this one particular video and just separating the facts from the fiction. That's it. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, before we do start, I just wanted to say that I do have the beginner's ADC guide up, the advanced ADC guide up, the expert ADC guide up, also the beginner's rank guide is up, and the advanced rank guide is up. So make sure you guys watch out for those on Thursday, which will be tomorrow. The expert ranked guide will be coming out. So yeah, stay tuned. That's all I'm gonna say. Without further ado, let's get into the actual video though. Also, if you guys would like coaching, I do not have a discount code out yet, but it will be coming soon. So make sure you guys pay attention if that's something that you guys would like. I just don't know when it will happen. But CoachBlaker.com is your best bet to get VOD reviews, coachings. Just check it out. That's all I'm going to say. Check it out. All right, let's go.
If not hundreds of hours to get really good at them. A lot of the time, you'll just be reviewing your gameplay and you'll be able to spot out the obvious mistakes, but the details are often missed.
True. The reason why I don't really tell people to look at their VODs is because sometimes they don't know what they're looking for. If you're going to look at your VODs for a specific reason, like, oh, I wanted to know when I mess up the menu wave, that's a little different. But a lot of people tend to go look at VODs and like, they expect to pretty much like learn why they're having a problem. It doesn't work like that. Unless you know specifically what you need help with, you're not going to get much out of your VODs. This is why you do have coaches or maybe just second opinions from like a friend or something like that. But usually when I coach players, I'll give them a list and they use that list. And that's basically the cheat sheet. When they look at their VODs, they're like, okay, I was supposed to work on roaming at whatever time. Okay, did I roam at this time? No. Okay, then I need to fix that. And it's just kind of an easier way to do it. But yeah, if you're doing it by yourself, it's kind of hard if you don't know what you're looking for.
That's why we have this brand new VOD review analysis coaching overlay and pinpoint every single thing you need to work on in order.
I think that's what this video is about, actually, is doing what he just said. They have a VOD review system. I have a VOD review system too. Just saying. I'm just saying. You know what I mean? I don't really know how much there is though. But okay, so we're gonna get to the point where they actually start the VOD, and we'll see.
Does a great job here by standing in the specific square in the bottom lane tri-brush. A lot of low elo players don't do this, but standing here at the start of the game is crucial for spotting out invades. In addition to that, it also minimizes the chances of random cheese plays, which often causes your dead teammates to start flaming or AFKing. You want to hone in on where Billy is standing, which is in the bottom left part of the brush. The reason why standing here is the best is due to the fact that the enemies won't see you if you immediately run around the corner if you see them invading. You'll also want to place a ward on the exact spot you were standing on, so only ranged champions on the enemy team will get a shot at clearing your trinket. Billy heads to lane, and of course, the Yasuo support is AFK.
I don't know about that ward. The only reason I don't know about it is because you can use your ward as two things. If you're going to use your ward as actually having vision, put it a little further out because you get more of that area. But you're not really using the ward for the vision because it's going to be useless after the first 30 seconds, especially if you know, they leave. So it's better to just put the ward and make sure that they see it. Maybe put it in that spot if you want, but make sure that they actually see you put it down so that they'll be scared off. A lot of the times they will be. He is right though about just kind of where it is. You know, because the melee champions will be able to hit it. But if you time it right, they'll see it when they walk in the bush and they won't be actually able to hit it at all. So they'll see it because, you know, the ward stays for a little bit. So if you put it down, and if you time it right, they will walk in and see the ward. And they won't have enough time to hit it at all. and then they'll just walk away because they know that they're spotted. That is way better than doing that, because they could still like maybe flash on you because clearly you're there, right? But if you put it down, it sits for like a second, like you're pretty far away from that ward. So just a little heads up, you could do that. That's what I usually do. That's what I tell players to do. But this will work too.
So this lane is hard to play out from the start. Very typical in a low elo game, but nothing will stop our protagonist from winning this game. However, he does a very good job of using his Q to secure the first 3 melee minions, since they are all low HP at the same time when you get to laning phase.
I would have held off a little longer so that the Yasuo can get to lane. You don't want to have your support be behind in levels, especially when it's level 2 time. So try to wait, if you could wait for your support to come back. As he just said, he is AFK, but you never know. He probably could come back in the next second, and if he was sitting a little bit closer, you guys could have both got the experience.
Billy gets...
Okay, so he is AFK still, so you would have taken it, obviously. But I'm just saying, sometimes that does happen, or maybe the support overleashes. Try to wait a little bit and just really think about, like, is my support going to miss this experience? And try to make sure that they don't.
Hit by Zilean's bomb because he wanted to go for the mage creep dying, but realized he would be completely entering Sivir and Zilean's zone of influence. Zone of influence is a big term, and we've used and explained it in the past, but we will be bringing it up a couple of times throughout this video because of its importance.
Zone of influence basically just means danger zone. That's it. If you get too close to the enemies, they'll do something to you. I mean, you don't really have to know all these terms and stuff like that to be able to play the game better. I actually coach a student, and he's a kid, and he doesn't watch any guides or anything like that, and he knows how to play the game without having any of this mumbo jumbo. I'm not saying it's bad, but you know, you don't need to know all that. It's just I'm too close to the enemy champions. I'm gonna get ganked. I'm basically overextended. Like, that's pretty much a better way to put it.
To explain what it means, zone of influence is understanding an area that a champion can impact. Basically, knowing the maximum range of characters' abilities and auto attack range and playing around it. In this case, we can draw Sivir's Q and Zilean's bomb range relative to where they are standing. Now,
low-key, you don't need to know all that. You can just guess.
Now, Kaisa needs to draw these in her mind and play around it to achieve the CS, or to simply give up the gold and just get the experience.
Fun fact, a lot of abilities are auto attack ranged. So think of it this way, like, if you are a ranged champion, your skill's probably going to be about the same as your auto attack range. So if you kind of just think about that when you're playing, like, oh, this guy's range, this is probably where the skill could come from, then that's good enough. Even some challenger players that I know don't do that. It's just a lot. It's a lot to put in your mind when there's other things to worry about. You know what I mean? And this is why I do these videos, is because, like, the things that they tell you, it's, oh yeah, it's nice, it's cool, it's awesome. Oh, that's something I didn't know. But, like, that's not going to help you. Like, just don't get close. Like, there's other important things we need to focus on here aside from zone of influence. That's all I'm saying. But it sounds nice.
However, even with the concept in mind, Billy gets hit again and again and again. This goes to show the importance of zone of influence and playing with it in mind at all stages of the game. The next...
That's just a lower elo player. That's all.
Thing we want to
that's pretty much what it is.
Talk about is playing passive while the enemy has a bigger minion wave. As we can see here, the wave has been pushing and is still pushing towards Billy. There is absolutely zero reason to walk up because he will get severely punished by the enemy bottom lane. Instead, understanding that giving up gold and maintaining HP at high levels is more important than risking himself and getting...
This is why I like pro guides, because look at all this fantastic stuff you're looking at. You know, and this is what captures players. Because if you really want to get better, you don't care about all this. You know what I mean? But nowadays, it's like players, they say they want to get better, but they don't really want to get better. So, you know, having all this like camera spinning and stuff like that, it's just a way to keep attention. When their attention should be kept because of the information that's being given, not the fact that we got whooshy whoosh stuff. You know what I mean? I'm not faulting pro guides for that, because like I said, it looks cool. I'm just saying, like, it's funny how these guides like transition into something like this versus how it used to be before. That's all I'm saying. It looks cool. Like I said, it does look cool. Not knocking them.
Poked before the wave even hits the tower. It is very normal for the bottom lane being pushed in to be down 6 or 7 CS, but that's the price that must be paid if you cannot control the early laning phase. Finally, Yasuo comes back from his AFK.
Just want to say something that he didn't point out. The problem here is that a lot of players, especially ADCs, love to poke, love to harass, even if they know they're not going to win it. And that's why a lot of lanes tend to feed a lot quicker, because there are always players that just think, I need to trade, I need to poke, I need to do all that. Just sit there, farm. Don't do anything. Just really just sit there, especially playing Kaisa. Like, there's no reason to do anything. Especially the 2v1 situation. But if you're playing scaling champions, there's really no reason for you to go out your way to poke, harass, and stuff like that, because you'll just get stronger than the other laner anyway. I know it's boring, but that's just a better way you can get your wins by just like not doing anything. You eventually, when you buy your items, then start popping off. But I just mean, like, if you're weaker and you know you're weaker, or in a really bad situation like this, there's really no reason to throw out that poke. And that's pretty much what's happening with this Kaisa, and that's why she's getting harassed and bullied, because she just doesn't know how to turn that off. Learn to turn it off, and I guarantee you'll start climbing.
Control the early laning phase. Finally, Yasuo comes back from his AFK adventures, and Billy decides to CS this low HP mage minion across the battlefield, and gets demolished by a bomb and Sivir's double boomerang.
One thing you want to think about is always stand diagonal to the players if you can. So Kaisa shouldn't be here, she should be over here, right? Because if he's walking down and she's here, it's enough area for her to back up if he starts progressing towards her, and then she could just cast her W. Whereas she decided to walk like through this area, which is, we're still in the same spot, so it's a shorter distance between here and here.
HP mage minion across the
Like if she was right here, that wouldn't have happened.
Battlefield, and gets demolished by a bomb and Sivir's double boomerang. So before the minion wave has even crashed in, he is now below half HP. While we understand that Yasuo was AFK, that does not excuse walking up and getting poked for free, especially when the minion wave was coming in. Billy heals for health to help sustain through the laning phase. While the decision is correct, the timing is very poor. Since heal also targets an ally and gives movement speed, he should have waited for Yasuo to all-in before popping heal, so they both have movement speed going into the all-in to have more tools to fight the enemy.
We shouldn't have tried to fight the enemy in the first place. That just wasn't a bad option. It just wasn't good. He's level 2, he doesn't have wind wall on 3. And he doesn't have 3 yet. It just would have been a really bad fight that would have lost. So it doesn't matter when you waste the heal. It's still a horrible choice. I would just definitely just look to reset and come back. Like, you don't need to fight, and that's the problem. A lot of players nowadays just want to fight all the time. It's not necessary.
Targets an ally and gives movement speed, he should have waited for Yasuo to all-in before popping heal, so they both have movement speed going into the all-in to have more tools to fight the enemy. As long as Billy is mindful of Zilean's potential use of Ignite, they will likely win the all-in trade if heal is popped before the healing reduction comes through.
No, wait, hold on. What we just, let's go back.
Very poor. Since heal also as long as
about?
Billy is mindful of Zilean's potential use of Ignite, they will likely win the all-in trade if
Why would Sivir be back there? Did I miss something?
While the decision is correct, the timing is very poor.
Well, what's her HP at?
Especially when the minion wave that does not
Yeah, they're
correct,
full.
he's going into the potential use comes through.
No. Don't do
Yasuo finds a
that.
good opportunity to all in and break press the attack, allowing Zilean to take more.
Look, okay, so that is just low elo. There's no way a high elo player would do this. And that's why I'm saying, like, this is why I don't like these, because you'll watch okay. Calm down. What they'll do is they'll watch the video, and then they'll record after watching the video, knowing what's going to happen, so that they just seem smarter. Now, I'm not saying the people working are dumb, but it's kind of underhanded to do that a little bit, you know? Like, you know, I'm going to say to use heal so we can get the kill here, but we don't know what's happening yet. And then it happened, and it's like, oh, wow, yeah, she would have saved the heal, so that's what I need to do. No, they just watched it, and then they just put their... No. Doing this is bad. We wouldn't have told Yasuo to go in, especially at level 2. The only reason this worked is because Zilean is low elo. That's it. It's not going to help you in higher elo, and if that's your goal to get to higher elo, really be thinking about this stuff. And that's why it stopped working, because players are a lot better nowadays in gold and in platinum than they used to be. So this has to be like silver, or maybe like bronze, somewhere there. Maybe I'll take silver probably. And so stuff like this is just not just gonna fly. Like, Yasuo would not be able to just dash level 2 all up in there, get them low like
damage.
that.
From here, Billy simply follows up and secures the kill on Zilean, but makes a mistake on the following play. Instead of kiting towards the brush to lose minion aggro, he stands still and face tanks everything outside of the brush.
I agree with that. And also, I will say, if it does happen though, yeah, of course you need to do something with it in terms of follow up. But at the same time, like, yeah, don't look for those type of plays. That was just lucky that Zilean just messed up, really. It didn't really pay attention to how Yasuo works.
While it is true that Sivir has a ward to place in the brush, there's a decent chance to catch Sivir on an auto attack rotation and slow her damage output. Oh, and Billy auto attacked the ward placed in the brush. In this situation,
even if he didn't, he was dead. He got hit by the boomerang. So I would say the most important thing here is to just make sure that you are
in the brush.
paying attention to the skill
Billy auto
shots.
attacked the ward placed in the brush. In this situation, many ADCs will start autopiloting and shove the wave because that is what they've been conditioned to do. Billy does an extremely good job here of last hitting and waiting for the next wave to come before clearing the wave. Now the wave has an extra...
I don't think ADC's been conditioned to shove the wave until the other ADC backs, right? Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's been a minute.
2 mage creeps going into the next push, giving their bot lane an advantage to trade or fully shove the wave in. The next concept we want to talk about is the sweet spot in bottom lane. The sweet spot is a position in bottom lane where the minion fight takes place in front of any tower. It generally benefits the team that is able to hold the wave in front of their own tower because they have 4 advantages when they do so. They cannot get ganked.
False. Yes, you can.
Straight and simple. Since you're under tower, opponents won't gank you, but they may dive you, which is what we'll talk about in a second.
Even if they don't dive, they can gank from that position. Trust me.
Your opponents can get ganked since they are the ones pushed up having to clear the wave. You can poke your opponents since they need to opt themselves into you to clear the wave. Just make sure to avoid engagements because they still have the bigger minion wave at the end of the day. Lastly, if you still cannot contest the wave or trade, simply let them push the wave in and catch it safely under tower.
Agreed.
However, the one weakness with this strategy is if you have a losing mid laner and the enemy is able to get a push going and dive as a 3 or 4 man, resulting in your guys' death. If you're being...
You see, these swapped a video to maybe a higher ELO video because of the simple fact that that does not happen in low ELO. So why worry about it right now? And the thing is why I say that is because before we were talking about like going in with the Yasuo. Like, why worry about that if that's not a high ELO thing you're going to be focusing on? You know what I mean? Like, so why are we worrying about the stuff? There's like it's like half and half. Let's teach you guys stuff to do in low ELO. Let's teach you guys stuff to do in high ELO. Like, just push them together and let's teach each other how to climb. That'd be just like the better thing to do. But yeah, you can get dope.
With full HP, you can outplay it pretty easily, but if you were half HP for whatever reason, it's likely that you may have taken bad trades, which led to this play happening bottom lane.
I agree. A lot of players just kind of assume like, oh, I'm getting dope. Why am I getting like do something? And it's like you're probably getting dope because you look easy to dive. You probably trade. Like, really think about that. And that's something that you can actually watch in your own VODs. You know, why did I get dope here? Oh, I took a trade and I burned my stuff, and so this was just free for them. Like, little stuff like that is something you could be paying attention to and getting better at when you watch your replays.
Billy pushes in bot wave and gets a basic ward in river, which is correct. However, both sides have full vision of the dragon being taken, so it's incorrect to re-enter the lane here. He should have instead rotated over and cleaned up the fight and secured the dragon immediately. To be quite honest, the game would have been over here because of the double kill.
The game wouldn't have been over. It's a low elo game, and even in high elo, the game still flipped unless you're in stuff like Grandmaster. So the game would not have been over, but I do agree she should have rotated. Always look to rotate.
Dragon and huge.
But now, because the wave is in such a bad spot, Zilean and Sivir could rotate. They probably don't, because like we said, it's low elo, but they could right now and basically just sandwich them. And Urgot could teleport too. Like it can go a lot of different ways. She definitely should have went earlier.
Morale boost for the blue team. Amumu starts ganking bot lane, but let's debunk an unpopular opinion. Getting ganked in the bottom lane should always be seen as an opportunity instead of a disadvantage. When enemies gank you, they're opting themselves into you, giving you the advantage to get a lot of damage on them. On top of that, they are the ones that are pressured to land their abilities.
Once again, just kind of looking at high elo players.
While all you have to do is dodge. Let's add a counter on top of each champion in this play to show how the blue team has a numbers advantage even when they are literally down a champion.
Only reason why is because there's no HP and no mana on Zilean and no mana on Sivir. And then Amumu, of course, just got clapped. But if they were paying attention, that gank wouldn't have gone that way. And then obviously the jungler just wouldn't have ganked a lane that way. Now that does happen even in high elo. I do see some crazy ganks, But for the most part, no jungler with the right mind would gank a lane with no mana. It just doesn't make much sense, really. But he is right. You can look to turn these. I've done it before. I've seen players do it before. I've coached players who've done it before. And sometimes people don't know that they can do it, but yeah, they can do it. So you just want to pay attention to the spacing of where the player is and how fast your champion can actually do damage to that jungler, along with your support, and also pay attention to the HP and mana of the enemy. And you can pretty much sum up if you can win the fight or not. Let's see if that's what he says.
Since Zilean is extremely low HP and mana, his value is 0.25.
Stop thinking of stuff like this. You don't. It's not that serious. Just say this guy's at a man HP. I could do stuff. You don't have to think of it like, okay, he's 0.25. That person's point. Like, it doesn't matter. Don't go so in depth like this. I know it sounds great, but it's making a lot of things complicated about the game, and it's really not that complicated, especially at the lower levels. It doesn't matter. Just say, oh, he's out of mana. He's out of HP. I could definitely take advantage of the situation. Boom, free to go. That's it.
Since he can maybe speed someone and potentially ignite. Sivir is valued at a 1, which is a standard, and Amumu is valued at 0.75, since he's 80% HP. In total, the red team has a whopping value of 2 for this gank. Meanwhile, Yasuo is valued at a 1, and Kai'Sa is valued at a 1.5, with the 3 remaining mage minions counting as 0.5. As you can see, the blue team has a bigger number, but once you play out the situation, the numbers shift massively as abilities are thrown out. The second Amumu misses his Q, he instantly loses any value he had, making the fight easier, allowing blue team to clean up the fight. These numbers may sound like a bunch of mumbo jumbo.
Okay, I'm glad he said it.
But the general concept completely applies to every single League of Legends game at all stages of the game.
No.
Just look at that one fed Zed in your solo queue games in the side lane, valued at a 3. Your team needs to send a series of players that total a value of 3.
Like I said, just don't think about it that way. We're gonna get past that part.
Blue team just push the wave and reset.
It sounds nice, as I said, but you don't need it.
Which is very good. If you look at the wave, aside from Sivir pushing the wave is in a really good spot for the blue team, regardless of what the red team does. The reason is due to the fact that no matter what happens, when Billy gets to lane, the wave will be pushed in, allowing blue to hold the wave in the sweet spot, forcing the enemy team to walk up. And a good spot is very good. If you look at the wave, blue team just push the wave and reset, which is very good. If you look at the wave, aside from Sivir pushing the wave is in a really good spot for the blue team, regardless of what the red team does.
It is, but I won't say replicate that, because all the support has to do is help her shove the wave, and it's not going to be in that sweet spot anymore. So that's, again, situational based, which is why you guys have issues with wave management and wave manipulation. It's very hard to do, and it's never as simple as it looks. And so that's why you really have to think about it by situational basis, because at the end of the day, nothing ever is going to be done the same exact way every single game. It's very, very hard. It's champ dependent. It's how the players play. And so in this situation, yeah, it's doing that, but that's really because Vi just zoned off Zilean and made Sivir literally fight Vi. That's it. It wasn't because she pushed it in and set it up well. It was because they didn't pay attention to that, because she was trying to protect Zilean. That was pretty much it.
The reason is due to the fact that no blue team is staying ahead on tempo, which
I know this video's kind of long, so I'm gonna start fast forwarding it.
Which is a massive topic that we created its own video on, so check that out to better understand it. As we can see here, Billy previously purchased a pickaxe and now has grabbed tier and boots. Our analysts believe that if you plan on purchasing Mana Mune, that grabbing the pickaxe first is more worth it. While it may give you more mana and sustain to get the tier and make you feel like you're charging it up faster, our logic is why not purchase 25 AD and use that instant boost in stats to farm more easily and kill your opponent.
Fun fact, I had an ADC, when I made that ADC expert guide, we actually talked about what to buy early. And we were actually watching Prey play, and we were just basically talking about why he built what he built. So if that interests you, he was playing Kai'Sa. It definitely was not that. So it's very interesting, honestly. Okay, let's continue.
Then, with those advantages, reach your tier or Mana Mune, allowing you to stack it faster, since Mana Mune charges off auto attacks. This idea may sound absurd, but experimenting and finding what works for you is something you'll have to try before coming to a solid conclusion.
I'm glad he said that. He's basically saying, don't copy, try it, you don't like it, and do something else. That's the way that you should be having. That's the way that I coach as well. Obviously, if it's bad, I'm going to be like, hey, don't do that. But for the most part, when players say, I want to build this, I'm like, why? They're like, because I want to do this. And I'm like, oh, I'm glad you know. Okay, cool. So definitely, I'm glad that he said that. Bonus points.
conclusion. However, here at Team Pro Guides, our analysts are siding with the pickaxe purchase so we can mine that LP. Here,
that was a good joke, but like I said, that's not. It could be situational based, but also, you know, every player doesn't do that.
Yasuo initiates a play and dies for it shortly after to Sivir's boomerang. We want to highlight the orb walking here. Orb walking is attacking and moving while your auto attack is on cooldown. Our student Billy used to click the enemy champion and let Jesus take the wheel, which would always result in the enemy getting away. Doing this strategy is very bad, since when the game thinks you are in range of a champion, they won't move while your auto attack is on cooldown. However, once the auto attack becomes available again, the game will realize, oh, you're out of range, and start making you chase. But by then, the enemies are out of range. In this case, he does a really good job of auto attacking and
That's true. No matter what champ or role you're playing, you should be doing that. Even if you're not autoing and you're just using spells, like everybody does that. That's just like a universal thing. I don't call it orb walking though. I just teach people how to do it. But yeah, it's pretty much that.
moving immediately towards the enemy and attacking only when his auto attack is available. Billy lands a Void Seeker, applying a Plasma Stack onto Sivir and ults in to finish her off. While this is the correct play, the execution is very poor. He
Definitely could have went just back, but also we need to pay attention to where everybody is. Were there wards on the map at this point in time? Okay, well, Vi's dead, clearly, but Morgana's MIA. I mean, we can't really possibly say that they don't know what's happening, but I will say, like, pay attention to where everything is before you go for a play like this.
ults in to finish her off.
Also, because Amumu, Zillion, and Silas is all right there. They literally could just collapse on this if they seen that she was low and if Sivir played that better. That wouldn't have happened, and they actually would have died to diving. Pay attention before you go for that play. It looks nice. It's cool. We're talking about the play in general, but the play doesn't matter. The execution doesn't matter. It just matters about how we're doing it, like how we're prepping that play, right? The execution can go poor. I always kind of say it's like the Scooby-Doo effect. You know, you have Fred that makes all these cool like plans and stuff, and Scooby-Doo and Shaggy seem to just always mess it up. Well, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, they catch the guy anyway with the same plan. That's kind of how I see League of Legends. Like, if the play is good, no matter what happens, you will get out, or the play will work. So in this situation, if we knew where everybody was, and we knew that, okay, nobody's coming, and I go for this dive, even if I did come out with a little HP, I don't know if she died, we didn't watch that far, but even if I do come out with a little HP, I'm okay because it was a good plan. Everything lined up. I just played it like crap. So that's why execution doesn't matter, because if the play isn't good, if the play isn't right in the first place to go for, the execution damn sure it doesn't matter. So I don't care about how it's executed. I just care about why we're doing it, and that's the big part, because that is something you can replicate. If you just kind of make the execution really good every single time, you'll still like die because it might not have been a good call.
While this is the correct play, the execution is very poor. He should have ulted way past Sivir so the tower aggro stops and finish off the Sivir and maintain full HP. Even though he makes the mistake of ulting directly under the tower, he was still fine if he ran towards Tribrush, only taking 2 tower shots instead of taking 4 by running back through the lane. But here's the kicker. Even through
honestly, he could have auto attacked.
Billy could have just finished off
I was gonna say,
and cleared the wave right after. 10 scenarios. When you evolve an ability, you can do an animation that takes a while, but this can actually be cancelled. In order to cancel the animation of Kai'Sa's evolve, you need to manually hover your mouse over the evolve and click it. After clicking it, you immediately reset by clicking B on your keyboard, and click anywhere on the screen to cancel and reset and start moving. While this may not be useful in the fountain, there are very niche
I was gonna say, like, it doesn't really matter if you do that or not.
situations where you reach 100 attack damage from Manamune or levels during a fight, and you need that bit of extra damage to win the fight. Instead of evolving and dying because of the animation, you can quickly pull this mechanic off and have the evolved Q to finish off the fight for that sweet YouTube highlight. It's
I didn't even see anybody do that.
going to take some practice, so
Yeah, don't worry about that. Do it. Just if you really want to practice it, but it doesn't matter.
Kai'Sa and Yasuo catch out Sivir and start pursuing her under the tower. The mistakes here were Yasuo not ulting and Billy not fully committing to the play while Yasuo was tanking.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, he just couldn't be committed. Even Yasuo played it poor. And as I said, it doesn't matter. It's once again the Scooby-Doo effect. Yasuo played that terribly, but at the end of the day, like, he actually could have just got the free kill because it was a fine play, you know.
However, the third and important issue we want to highlight is the auto attack on the tower, which made Kai'Sa stay in range too long and die to the tower. This mistake can easily be fixed by applying a setting in game called...
What you can do to fix it is just click the champion and let the champion do its own thing. And like, remember when he talked about orb walking and he said, well, if you let your champion auto, like let your champion auto and that'll fix that problem. You don't have to have a setting. I mean, I do know players who do have the setting. I'm not one of them. I just like let the champion auto attack under the tower. And that's that. I'm not about to walk by in the tower and hit anything. I'm just gonna let the champion at the because if they're under the tower, they're not running from you at this point. They're just sitting there. So yeah, I usually just let them kind of auto, but up to you.
Called target champions only. While you click this button, you cannot click minions or towers, meaning that you can't misclick like Kai'Sa in this segment. It mostly applies to ADCs, but can easily be binded for any other role. Keep in mind this key is not auto-binded to any button, but will make it start side laning, which is okay. But the issue is not backing off with all the information being presented to the blue team. As we can see, 3 red team members entered bot side, while no one on the blue team is in the position to pressure any objective.
Okay, just lack of awareness.
Pressuring anything followed with an XD, we're collapsing through vision and not back.
It's just lack of awareness, nothing really to say.
The big concept here we want to talk about is the 4 steps to League of Legends, which is push vision, push execute. If you are ever pressuring, these steps guarantee perfect control. To be honest, we could make a
I don't like using that word guarantee because ain't nothing guaranteed in League of Legends. Y'all know this. Y'all playing this game long enough to know ain't nothing guaranteed. Don't even.
Whole video on this concept, but we will explain how it looks like in this game. As you can see here, 21 minutes into the game, the blue team just pushed, which is step number 1. Now they can transition to step number 2 and establish vision and sweep enemy wards. The reason they can do this is because of their numbers advantage, while somebody on the enemy red team is showing on the minion wave to clear, and Sivir is showing bottom. After establishing vision, the blue team will clear the next oncoming wave while they defend some of their vision at the same time. Transitioning to the most important step, which is execution, this step can look like many things, but the most common ones are to siege, take Baron, or to sit in the jungle and look for picks. While it may be hard to get every single one of your solo queue teammates on board,
yeah, I was gonna say, that's what I mean.
Your best bet is to ping and hope people follow, because it is a lot better than standing around mid lane and just hoping a fight breaks out. A big
Agreed. I'm glad he cleaned that up because yeah, I was gonna say that's not happening every game.
mistake many players make is walking up to waves when their team is behind on tempo and contesting waves they have zero business being on. As we can see here, Billy's team is all in base and is nowhere.
Just gonna say lack of awareness once again. Doesn't really need any of that. I think these are just kind of extra concepts being added just to make the video a little bit longer.
Not having vision or being in a position to do something. Catch the wave under tower. When more blue team members are on the tempo for a whole 2 to 3 minutes, get onto the map 3 minutes if you are
just pretty much overextending before their team got there.
Doing it properly. This is why scaling champions are so valued in lower level play, because teams don't properly end and people get caught out all the time. Billy.
Exactly. That's exactly why I said in the beginning of the video, players literally fight every single time when you could literally just sit there and farm and CL and then that's it. You don't have to go ape and lane and int or have a chance of inting. You don't need to coin flip that. Just chill. Wait for the jungler. That's it. Or a mid laner or a top laner to come help. I swear if every lane just sat there and farmed for the first 2 minutes and did nothing, the game would be a lot smoother. I promise you. But that's not what people do. People die in 2 minutes. People die before the minions even spawn, so.
Billy approaches this team fight and opens up with a Void Seeker onto a Mumu. He repositions and starts dishing out all the free damage he can and only ults in once the enemy team is out of range. He then cleans up the
Does Zillion just not have ult or
can and onto a Mumu. He repositions and starts dishing out all the free damage he can and only ults in once the enemy team is out of range. He then cleans up the fight and secures the Baron to end the game. This concludes the game, but overall a very good demonstration of things that players need to work on and master if they want to improve and climb to a higher rank. These are the words from Sasuke himself. Billy has improved over a couple sessions with me for sure. When he first came to me, he lacked so many of the basic fundamentals of League of Legends, but helping him and actually seeing him apply some of it to his gameplay has made me very proud. I'm very confident in his ability to continue his climb once he has more time to keep practicing the things I teach him.
You see what I mean? Even he says it. He's talking about him. So it's always funny when I see these videos and they're doing a VOD or they're coaching someone and they try to like say this is what you need to do to climb. That is one player. There is tons of players that play differently And that's why when I make my videos, I make them a certain way, because I know that doesn't help you. If I don't play the way that he's saying I need to play, then I have to what? Change my whole skill to play like the player that's getting the VOD? Like, it doesn't make sense. And so I will say that there's concepts about this video that is important, and there's concepts about what's going on that's important. But if you don't climb watching this, like if you feel like, oh, well, it's a fast way to improve and I'm doing this and I'm not climbing, that could be because you don't need to work on any of this. This is not your issue. This is someone else's game. You know what I mean? And so when you're looking at these videos and stuff like this, definitely like listen to how it's being. I know when you're looking for information, everything just seems very, very nice to like get a taste of. When I was improving a long time ago, back when I was like bronze 5, any video that I watched was like, oh, I didn't know. Thank you. And then when I got better, it's like, that definitely didn't help at all. Or that definitely didn't help at all. Or that helped a little bit, but I didn't really need it. You know what I mean? And so if you can kind of get into that mindset already to be like, okay, realistically, what do I need help with? Be honest with yourself. You might not know everything, but you know some. What do I need help with? Okay, well, let me start looking at videos that are talking about this specific thing. And then that will help you a lot. Instead of looking at videos that kind of say stuff like this, which is the fastest way to improve. There's no fast way to improve at all. I'm glad that they said challenger coaches low elo, but at the same time, that's not a challenger player coaching the low elo player. That's somebody else reading the words of the other player coaching it. And I don't really know how accurate that is. I'm not saying they're lying or anything, but I've definitely seen behind the scenes of some sites, and it kind of sucks that they market themselves as something, but they're not really that something. As I said, I don't know if the Pro Guides is that way, but I've seen it, and I just hate it. You know, I hate people being treated poorly, and I hate people that are just like not getting the information that they really, really want. That's all. I'm just a very personal person. So, as I said, though, there are some points that are important in this, and he definitely talked about some good concepts. I'm going to say it's probably a D+, because it's not really straight up clickbait. He actually is doing things. It's just the problem is, like, it doesn't apply to everybody, but the way that the video is structured in terms of title, in terms of thumbnail, in terms of the actual, like, what's being said in the video, making it seem like, okay, well, this is what I need to work on. And that's not the case, because if you don't need to work on that, you're kind of just wasting your time. You know what I mean? I really only give, I'm a harsh grader for one, but I really only give like very good grades to those videos that are like, everybody needs to work on this type of stuff. This is very important for everybody. Doesn't matter what ELO you are, more or less, you know, you can still be working on this type of thing. And that's what I like to see. These videos, they come out so fast. It doesn't really matter what it's about. Sometimes it just matters about, it sounds interesting. Let's get it out. What's going to get people to watch? And I don't like that when it comes to teaching people how to play, because basically your lives are in the hands of players that are trying to get you better, right? It's time that you're taking away from your life to get better. And if we're basically not valuing that, at the end of the day, we're kind of just screwing you. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. I do appreciate it. Like I said, those guides are up. I don't really have much else to say. But if you guys want to watch the original video, as I said, it's in the description below. Like I always say, though, thank you guys for approaching this like a coach.